All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to talk about Gervonta Tank Davis and how pay-per-view numbers, rumors have been released about what his pay-per-view numbers were. And let me tell you, some sounded realistic, some sound ridiculous. However, if the one that sounds realistic, considering everything that else happened, man, this dude has made a lot of money in his last fight. Let's talk about that. Also, what is fundamentally about what is wrong with boxing right now that this situation demonstrates? Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 135-pound division where Gervonta Tank Davis has now had pay-per-view numbers shared with the public. However, at the same time, me as a boxing fan have received two numbers, one of which is reasonable, and the other one, at my first glance, is absolutely ridiculous. But at the same time, this really does demonstrate what one of the major problems is with boxing. Every time you take a step forward, there is somebody trying to put a noose on you and drag you back. But before I get into that, let me talk to you about let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are a longtime subscriber and supporter, thank you so much for your continued support. I really appreciate that, especially to everybody in the live stream that we had earlier this morning, where we were going over more of that Terrence Crawford stuff and what Steven Espinoza had to say about it. May do a video about it, but did a good live long stream about it. Losing my patience for the conversation, but you guys, thank you, Timothy Stoudemire, specifically for coming on the channel and making me go through that with you. It's greatly appreciated because it's information that needs to be out there. Also, thank you to everybody that supports in the super chats and in the cash apps. Thank you to everybody that is new to the channel, checking this video out. Make sure you hit that like button, and thank you to everybody that hits that super thanks, like my man Matty Yole with the heart and the dollar sign right there. Really does make a big difference to the channel. So let's get into this. Gervonta Tank Davis fought Ryan Garcia, and the gate for the fight came out. Now, please understand that the gate is the ticket sales for the fight that take place in the arena. And it really is, in boxing, the only established metric that can be verified as to telling you how successful a fight was. Now, they sold over 19,000 tickets and brought in over a $5 million gate, which by anybody's estimation is a gigantic success. But what you wind up having in boxing, and happens with the PBC on a regular basis, is that as soon as they have a gate that's good, you immediately have people come out, specific characters that usually do it, that come out and give out pay-per-view numbers that make it look like the fight was an absolute flop and a waste of time. So today, and I've been waiting for this the fight it's now Wednesday. The fight took place 11 days ago. You've not had any pay-per-views released by any of the usual suspects who give numbers that, you would think that where it's reasonable. But today I got two numbers. One were people saying what they've heard is that fight came in close to 350,000 pay-per-views. And then another person came out and said 61,000 pay-per-views. Now, in the case that it was 350,000 pay-per-views, that means the fight through the pay-per-view generated around $26,250,000 in the pay-per-view. And in real-time math, if you figure out how much would Gervonta Davis make based off what Showtime said the costs are, you would multiply that times 0.9, where you get $23 million in revenue after their cost, because their cost is 10%. And then if you want to know, if you believe what they say and say that reports out there about how much of the purse Gervonta Davis got, say it was 70. I think they said it was 70%. If you multiply that times 0.7 equal, you get Gervonta Davis with about $16 million off of a fight that had a $5 million gate. If you give him around $2 million of the gate, that brings the money that he would make in that fight to around $18 million, which sounds about what he and Leonard Ellerbe say that he makes in his fights, because that is more than $13,000. So is that unrealistic to believe that Gervonta Davis, who can do a $5 million gate and get people to pay as much as $6,000 a seat, that he could sell 350,000 pay-per-views? No, it is not. Because you have had Errol Spence Jr. sell 350,000 in a pay-per-view. You have had Manny Pacquiao fought Adrian Bronner and did 400,000 in a pay-per-view. You had Canelo Alvarez, who fought Caleb Plant, and he did 800,000 pay-per-views on Showtime. So to say that everybody is stealing, and that's why you would believe that Tank Davis could not do 350,000 pay-per-views, to me is a big stretch of your logic. Now, what is the other low-end number? The low-end number was given on Twitter, which I'm sure people will come to me with in this chat, as if the people giving it have any credibility in this regard whatsoever, with 61,000 pay-per-views. Let me tell you what 61,000 pay-per-views is. It is less than Deontay Wilder did on pay-per-view versus Robert Helenius in his last pay-per-view, which was a comeback fight against a fighter that nobody had heard of on pay-per-view, that had a gate of about 1.2 million in the Barclays Center. Now, $1.2 million is a good gate, for sure. 77,000 pay-per-views is for Deontay Wilder from the same sources that are saying Gervonta did 61 is a terrible number, right? Really hard to believe. Really hard to believe. Seeing as the same people say that Terrence Crawford sold 120,000 pay-per-views on BOK Prime against David Avanesyan. So when they say that Gervonta Davis sold 61,000 pay-per-views, they are saying it did half of the pay-per-view sales of Terrence Crawford, and it did a third less of the pay-per-view, or 11,000 less, 20, basically 20% less than Deontay Wilder did. But yet, as far as the interest in the fight itself with the people that goes and buy the tickets are 5 times greater than the Deontay Wilder fight, and 10 times greater for the attendance of the fight than the Terrence Crawford fight. And they rack it up to, he's just an anomaly. How about get out of my face? However, everybody that has common sense knows that Gervonta Davis is one of the biggest draws in boxing, which is why this fight with Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia is being received as being one of the biggest fights in boxing. How can it be one of the biggest fights in boxing if Gervonta Davis's last pay-per-view does 61,000 times $75 is a $4 million pay-per-view? How can he do $4 million pay-per-view and a $5 million gate, right? Which means the entire revenue for his fight, according to these people, did not break 10 million, which is less than Terrence Crawford got generated against Sean Porter in their pay-per-view match, which everybody knew was a flop. How in the world can you say that Gervonta Davis is a big fighter, name fighter at all with this? This is where I come in and tell you that this is what's wrong with boxing. One of the main things that are wrong with boxing, because everything that is a success has somebody turning around and trying to wrap a noose around it and drag it to the ground. You had Floyd Mayweather Jr. selling out arenas, doing gigantic pay-per-views for years, and all certain segment of boxing did was complain about it. And then you don't have them saying anything about people that are doing pay-per-views and not fighting big fights at all, depending on who those fighters are aligned with. But anyway, just had to share that with you because, again, none of these pay-per-views are official numbers. Showtime has not released any numbers for these pay-per-views, but somehow, they're always very happy with them and outwardly bragging about how their numbers keep going up. But strangely, in certain people's communities, they keep going down. Anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.